Hello YouTube, Jared back here again with another video for you. This time, I want to talk about an army that's very near and dear to my heart, my Ultramarines. And so, the very first 40k army I ever dabbled in was the Ultramarines. And so, I painted up about 1,000 points of them, based them up, and then I painted up about 1,000 points of Necrons, played a few games, and then switched to Age of Sigmar. But that was... my very first army was technically Ultramarines and Necrons. Now, both those armies are around 1,100 points-ish, and it is about time to finally take these two armies to 2,000 points. So I've been working on looking at trade deals and looking around and trying to get some more bits. So I'll make another video on the Necrons later, but I was able to get a bunch of Space Marines in a few different trades, as well as some birthday presents, like Marnie here for my birthday. And then I got Lieutenant Titus and the book for my birthday. I got the Chief Librarian and the Hachette magazine. And so I've slowly been collecting some bits and pieces to build out my Ultramarines and get them to 2,000 points. And so I just want to show off what that looks like to take your army from 1,000 points to 2,000 points and what I'm adding to my army to affordably take them up. So, a couple of things that I'm looking at here, and I'll just pull them out as we go. One of the funny things is I got the Mini of the Month 3 years ago, and it was this flamethrower guy. And so I was using him because I needed one more body to get to another even level of 5. So I used him as the sergeant in my intercessors, and I had glued glued on a chainsword and turned him into the sergeant. And I was calling this a hand flamer, but let's be real, that's not a hand flamer. That's a full-size flamer. And so I've decided that he needs to go back to being a sergeant of the flamer what are they called? A flamer of an Infernus squad, and I need to build a new sergeant for my intercessors. And so that's one of the goals here. And then I just happen to have these two guys sitting out. They've got a full 5 squad in the box. I'll do an army showcase eventually. So that's one of the sub goals here, is to turn a flamer into an intercessor from my other stuff. So let me walk you through what's in my my box of trade bits and other things. We've got, like I said, we've got our 3 heroes, Chief Librarian, Titus, and Marnie. That's all kind of the new minis. And the other thing from the Hachette magazine I got is Chaplain on bike. And so I got him, and then I got enough bits to repair and kit bash a second Chaplain on bike for my Black Templars. But the Ultramarines need one too, because I already have 3 of the bikes for them, and I want to take it up to a full squad of 6. So I was able to get another starter box in a trade for basically nothing. Traded off some miniatures I didn't need and got some more Space Marines. So these obviously need cleaned up. The guy who built them didn't know how to clean up sprues, and he also didn't glue stuff. So a lot of the bits are still really loose. So these guys need sanded down and glued correctly, but they'll be joining the army. So I got another squad of bikes, the Chaplain on bike from the magazine, and then this was a Christmas present miniature right here, the Apothecary. Now here's the other fun bit. The Apothecary comes with 2 sets of tools, and so I had a second Apothecary for one of my other squads that I got in a trade lot, but his tools were broken off, and so I was able to take the extra tools from this guy and put them on the other guy and repair that mini as well. So that was a very satisfying kit bash. So I have him to join the squad. And then I found another squad of 5 assault intercessors here. And again, these were not glued at all, so all the bits are falling off. This needs to be sanded, some sprues removed, and then properly glued. But they're all here, though one of the guys was missing a head. So I found an extra sergeant head. This will need to be glued in here. And that'll give me 5 more of these. And then I'll have 15 assault and 15 standard intercessors, and so that'll round up a rather nice infantry division, or whatever you want to call it, for my Ultramarines. They're going to be kind of heroes and standard infantry. The main gist. Here's the backpack for the Chief Librarian, Tigurius, Tigris. So that's a cool bit. Where'd he go? He's over here. All right, off camera. And then I also have 5 of the flamethrower guys. These are called Infernus Squad. And so 1, 2, 3, 4, and you'll recognize these from the last launch box. This is the starter box guys that everybody has. But I took the 5th one, found out because he was push fit, he was not glued together correctly. And so I pulled him back apart, cleaned off the paint, and took him back apart. So I did a reverse Warhammer, scrubbed off all the paint, and started taking this guy apart. And the reason I'm doing that, I want to change off his head. I'm going to cut this bit off, the weapon here. And then I got to have all the body bits. This is why I don't like push fit minis. So I got to carefully save all the body bits and carefully cut off all the arm and head bits and keep the power pack. And then once I take all the hands off and the weapons off, I'm going to glue a chain sword over the spot where his flamer went. And then I have new arms for him. I have a plasma pistol and a pointy hand. See? Pointy hand. And so this is from one of the board game minis that I got back in probably one of the very first boxes I ever got, all 3 years ago. Over 3 years ago now. And so that'll give him the right hands and the chain sword and the plasma pistol. So he will be my intercessor sergeant. And so we've got the correct head. I've got that on sprue. And I got plenty of extra shoulder pads, and there's a head on here that should have the correct helmet. Yep, right here. And so I got some extra decoration bits, and I might even add a tilting shield and make him look all fancy. And then he'll lead that squad, and then this guy will get to finally lead this squad. And so both these squads will look good together, and that will be a very lovely, nice thing. So super excited about that. And then the other thing I've got, and I'm already starting to mix them up over here, I was poking around in one of my that big trade lot. Okay, here's the other flamethrowers. And then these two guys have the tabards, and they are Stern Guard veterans. Now, when I got Stern Guard veterans, I was missing the leader. So the sergeant was missing. But I do have, where'd he go? Heavy weapons guy. And then the other 3 standard Stern Guard. And they were painted as Stern Guard, and I already scrubbed the paint off them. And then I happened to get one of the blind box guys and realized he has the tabard. So all I need to do is get a sergeant helmet, backpack, flag, and a little tilting shield for him. And now he's got the correct melta gun already. He is now the sergeant of the Stern Guard vets. And so I got a custom Stern Guard vet sergeant to lead a squad of Stern Guard vets. And so that gives me all the bits I need here to kind of round up those squads. And then last but not least, you might have seen it sitting in the back here. This was in a whole bunch of pieces. This is a drop pod. Now, sadly, it's missing a few pieces on the inside. It was missing a piece here that I had to fix with Milliput. And you can see I got the impression and moved it over and fixed that. And it doesn't shut all the way, unfortunately, because it's been re-glued together. But you know what? Across the table, once I paint this up, this thing's going to look cool. It's going to look like a drop pod. And when you put it on the table, you put the wings down anyways and open all the doors up like this. And you know what? That looks pretty cool in my book. I was looking at, I have extra weapon bits. I could put a gun right here, but it looks like it lost the rules for that. And then there's supposed to be lots of guts inside and like chairs and stuff, but that looks kind of silly and it's pretty optional. So not going to worry about that. I'm going to run it just like this once it's all painted up. One of the wings was painted, but this paint's so thin that once I reprime it, you won't even be able to notice. It didn't get rid of any of the details. And so this is actually a Sharpie, I think, where they Sharpied on and drew on this cool little rock back texture on at least 1 or 2 of the doors here. So yeah, 2 of the doors have this little like a Sharpie pattern, but like you feel it, it's just Sharpie. It'll prime right over. So that'll be fun to prime up. So I have a drop pod, 3 more bikes, chaplain to lead them, custom Stern Guard squad leading him, 3 main heroes, Marnius, Lieutenant Titus, and Chief Librarian Tigurius or whatever his name is. He's a cool mini. And I left his leg off like that so I could paint under his robe easier. And then I left his backpack on, so that'll be easier to paint. Oh, the other thing I forgot to mention, I have 3 of these of the snipers, the eliminators, I think is what they're called. And then one of them is missing the tip of his gun. And so this piece is off of an old sprue for the Grey Knights, of all things, off their backpack. I needed something that kind of looked like a suppressor and was the right size. And I have no intention of ever building Grey Knights. And so that was the perfect piece. And I did a little bit of blue on these guys just for the fun of it, since I had some extra on my palette. But these guys will also be fun to paint up and build. Transparently, the reason I've been having so much fun kit bashing all this stuff is because right off camera, I have 50 Tau that are all ready to be batch painted, and they're already half done. But if you give yourself a really big project and then you procrastinate, you'll get a lot more other projects done. So I've been getting all kinds of projects done on my Necrons and Space Marines and Chaos Space Marines, and just planning out all the armies. And the poor Tau have been sitting there for weeks waiting for me to paint them. But once they're painted, these guys go on the shelf in their spot, and Space Marines will be up next. So I'm super excited about that. The Ultramarines, not my favorite chapter. I think I like Imperial Fists a little bit, or the Imperial Fists a little bit better. But I do like them a lot because they were the very first chapter I ever did. But Imperial Fists are probably my favorite chapter, with Black Templars being a close second. And after I paint them, they might be my favorite chapter too. So Ultramarines, they got some cool heroes. They were my first chapter. They need to come to 2,000 points, but I am excited to paint them again. And I do my Ultramarines in Dragon Blue by Reaper Paint, because that's what I had when I first started. I didn't have a lot of Citadel paints. And so, ironically, my Ultramarines are technically in a custom lighter color, which I actually really like. I like that lighter blue better than the official Ultramarine blue. It's a little too dark for me. But I've already done it. I've already put decals over it, so I couldn't change it if I didn't like it anyway. So I'm glad I do like it. But thanks for watching and listening to me ramble about my Marines. I hope this has inspired you to finish the projects you need to paint, or if you're thinking about starting another project or finishing off one of your armies, hope it inspired you to do that too. So thanks for listening. Thanks for subscribing. And I'll see you in the next video.